a production of the New Jersey courts.
Every day, judges ask attorneys to take on work that may be difficult, time-consuming, or emotionally draining, and to do so without being paid. Despite the demands of their legal practice, attorneys accept these assignments and perform them with diligence, zeal, and professionalism. In this video, you'll meet a few of those attorneys. They'll talk about what pro bono legal service means to them and why our justice system depends on people who provide free legal services to those who need an attorney but can't afford one. Some pro bono attorneys represent incapacitated persons and end up accepting guardianship appointments when there is no one else available. Others represent biological parents in emotionally charged adoption cases. Still others serve the court by routinely representing litigants who struggle with mental health issues. These are individuals who choose to do what is right and good when no one is watching. Their selfless efforts reflect the very best of the legal profession.
My father died when I was very young, and me and my mom moved in with my grandparents, and I had a close relationship with them. And it just seemed that I got the probate work dealing with a lot of elderly people kind of was a right fit for me. So within that area of the court, there's a lot of people that find themselves in situations that through no fault of their own, they need some legal help. And a lot of times those people don't have the means to do what they need to do. My family, if it happened to us when we were growing up, we wouldn't have the means to do that. So if there are opportunities to help people in those cases, that's where I can help.
You know, we all went to law school, we learned these skills, we learned sort of how to think, and we went out into the world to earn a living from doing it, but there are a lot of people out there who just can't afford to have the attorney represent them. And so we got our degree, we got the benefit from it, now we have to give back to the community a little bit. My priority really has always been family law. It's something I wanted since I was a child. And so when we're doing work where we can help families in any way, shape, or form, it just sort of warms my heart. It brings me back to the reasons why I wanted to do this to begin with, which was really just to help people.
I think everyone deserves to be represented, not even as if you don't have money, but you should be represented as if you are paying. I believe that the measure of my practice is not how well I do when I get paid well, but how well I do when I don't get paid. Well, most of my pro bono work is municipal court and or criminal. I've been the public defender of Burlington Township since 2002, and often from that comes a lot of opportunities to continue to help people.
They do yeoman's work. Sometimes it could be a minor issue, a minor matter, but sometimes they could be quite complex. They could take extraordinary periods of time. In fact, we have some pro bono attorneys who represent incapacitated persons, and those representations could last years, sometimes even decades, depending upon the circumstances. These attorneys go into the situation knowing the challenges they're going to be faced with, knowing that they're helping others, and knowing that they're assisting the legal system by doing it, true officers of the court.
I think it's really important because unfortunately we don't necessarily as a group have a good rep. Most people see attorneys as, you know, the kind you see on late night TV are going to get you a whole lot of money and they're going to take their piece of it. And they don't realize that there are attorneys who practice in all areas and that who do, can do a lot of things that maybe you've never thought needed to be done before. And I think it's important to me because it also gives me a feeling of doing something that I can feel good about at the end of the day.
I think it's important because it's work that doesn't get done as quickly as it might get done without pro bono. I think it's important for everybody to try to make the world a little bit better place when they leave than when they found it, and pro bono helps you to do that. Came from a big family. My parents kind of hammered that into all of us. Everybody in my family, one way or another, does stuff like this.
Burlington County hosts a day of service here at the county library, and it just gave me the chills to see these hardworking attorneys, first-rate attorneys out of Burlington County, helping people with wills, expungements, everyday things that can really change their lives. We really depend on their volunteer service. There are certain areas where we are able to assign to them work, ask for their help, essentially. And the ones who step up and come forward and do that work, they really make the system go. Without that, there would be gaps, and they fill those gaps. And the ones who do it without any need for recognition. They're not seeking that. They do it because they think it's the right thing to do.
I think it's important to give back to the court system, the community, and mostly children. What I get out of it is a sense of accomplishment, fulfillment in helping, but in very many cases, the issues that we see are far more complex than we see in our normal practice. People being foreclosed from the court system because they don't have the economic wherewithal oftentimes creates far more interesting issues than I've seen in my day-to-day practice. So it's very educational and enlightening.
I've had the benefit of representing prisoners who have been on hunger strikes. I've had to rescue potential wards with a SWAT team at one point. I've been in with crisis intervention units. Actually, one Friday night, 10 o'clock at night, I'm in the hospital with a woman, and the doctor comes out to me. He goes, "If you had waited another day to get her out, she would have been dead." And, you know, it's that type of thing that you realize that, you know, there's more than the transactional work that you do on an ordinary basis. And, you know, you don't get exposed to that unless you're giving back to the community and helping the court system function. Generally speaking, I think, you know, as a life philosophy, it's good to give back to your community.
As simple as it sounds is that the justice system should be opened and available to everyone, and everyone has the right to have a zealous advocate. And it shouldn't depend on whether you have money. Justice and fairness should not be doled out in that, you know, only for those who can afford it. And they are so appreciative and grateful, and just that they feel like their voices are heard in a system where they might feel that is not fair until they're able to have someone advocate for them. It's extremely rewarding to see someone appreciate and so grateful and thankful. And sometimes it could be for just such a little thing, you know, that you can help them with and kind of relieve their stress as well. You know, it's a simple feeling of, you know, helping someone and knowing that you help them.
I can think of one particular case where there was a young man who had significant developmental disabilities, but he was a sweet, lovely 19-year-old. His parents really were not equipped to give him the proper care that he needed. And as it turned out, his grandparents became his legal guardians. This young man moved to Florida with his grandparents, and the grandparents would come back to New Jersey in December to visit the family during the holidays, and they would stop in to see me, and it was so wonderful to see how far this young man had come. He even went to a prom at his special school in Florida. The grandmother she texted me pictures. I showed them to the APS caseworkers, and they said this was a case that really ended the way we always hope our cases end. So personally, it's just tremendously gratifying.
And over the years, I've seen that being in that profession is a gift. And I share that gift. There's something about the person, the situation that comes before you, and you're inspired to take it up and to help them, right? And there's fulfillment in that. It's a very deep experience. I don't do it to be a hero. I don't do it for thank you. Sometimes I don't get thank you. That's okay, because there's something good in it. It's deep. In these cases, what I'm allowed to do is give out of my substance and give as much as I can for these particular persons in this situation. There are cases that inspire you to get involved and not to seek recompense because it's right and it's just to do so. It's part of our profession.